to another Take 5. So it is days after Jesus has been crucified and after he has walked out of the tomb. And Peter and the other disciples, they're on the beach, still trying to wrap their heads around what they've been through. The loss of their teacher, their friend, their savior. And so they decide to do what's comfortable to them. They decide to go fishing. And so they're out on the boat and they're fishing when all of a sudden a stranger appears on the shore. He instructs them to cast their nets on the other side of the boat. And so reluctantly they do that, and there comes the great catch of fish. And it's in those moments that Peter realizes who that stranger on the shore is. He didn't really recognize him before that moment, but he recognizes Jesus. Jumps out of the boat, runs to the shore, and there finds his Savior. So they share a little food together, and then Jesus takes Peter aside. 3 times he asks him, "Peter, do you love me?" Each time, Peter becomes a little more aggravated with the question. For each time, Peter answers yes. And Jesus says, "Feed my sheep. Take care of my sheep." Here's what we realize from this account. There are times in our life when we are so focused on our challenges, when we're so focused on our failures, when we're so focused on the difficult things that we're going through, that we don't recognize Jesus' presence right there in our lives. Peter didn't recognize him at first. The other disciples didn't recognize Jesus on the shore. And there are times that we can be so fixated on what we're going through that when Christ is right there in the midst of it with us, we don't recognize him. And yet if we would take the focus off of our own troubles, our own challenges, if we would focus more on Christ, we would recognize his presence in our lives, and that would give us encouragement and hope and strength to continue to be faithful to him. And then we also realize this, the beautiful gift that fellowship with Jesus is. Peter jumps out of the boat, he runs, he wants to be with Jesus again. He has denied him days before. 3 times he denied him. And now he has an opportunity to be in the presence of Jesus again. You and I have that opportunity every day to be in Jesus' presence, to be in his word, to spend time in prayer, to worship him, to serve him. What a wonderful blessing fellowship with Jesus is. And how many times do we take it for granted? Why? Because we have busy schedules, because we have so much going on that sometimes we neglect our fellowship with Christ. And if you and I weren't able to have that fellowship for days, for weeks, perhaps we would see how precious that fellowship with Christ truly is. And so we should be taking advantage of every opportunity every day to spend some time in the presence of Jesus, to have that fellowship with him. And then lastly, we see the power of forgiveness. Jesus asks Peter 3 times, "Peter, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you love me? And feed my sheep. Take care of my sheep." And in those moments, Peter experiences real forgiveness that comes from Jesus. Today, wherever your life is, do you recognize the presence of Christ in your life? Are you experiencing his fellowship in your life? And are you allowing him to give you his grace and his forgiveness each day?